And the
Here we go. Time for that intro.
Stick it in the end zone. Dorsey under pressure throws it. Incomplete. The Buckeyes win. Ezekiel Elliott, and he's got an opening. Elliott off to the races. Can they catch him?
Feature the two backs as receivers, and now a downfield shot on first down for the end zone. Touchdown, Ohio State strikes first. Making adjustments again, and there is Smith rolling free, breaks a tackle. Ohio State strikes quickly from 45 yards. Pressure comes. Sword, knock it out, and picks it up. Jack Sword coming down the sidelines. Ohio State scoop and score and dagger from 82 yards. Here they come. Heavy pressure. Howard delivers downfield. It's Smith. He's got it. Jeremiah Smith. 2025 college football national champion, Coach Ryan Day, and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Welcome in, Buckeye backers. We are bringing it to you live from Seattle, Washington, to the cornfields of Enid, Ohio. We are the pulse of Buckeye fans across the nation, with Seattle Matt and Buckeye Steve. Welcome in, Buckeye backers. We are back for another morning after. Every morning after a Buckeye game, Seattle Matt and Buckeye Steve will be here to grace you with our presence. And Seattle Matt is the Vanna White of co-hosts for Buckeye podcasts. Get on here. Let me know how you're feeling early Sunday morning in Seattle, Washington.
Vanna White?
Yeah.
That's
You're
the
my
best you can pull?
I guess. I don't know, man.
I'll take it. She's very talented.
That's what I was thinking. You're very talented, so
I appreciate that. Thank you.
something's better than nothing. So we just saw an absolute waxing. Ohio State comes out like we all wanted them to throw to open up the pass. And boy, did they ever throw the ball, Seattle. Wow. That's what we needed. That's what we wanted. We want to showcase our talent. And Ohio State did that yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, I think we kept talking. We wanted to see a little bit more passing early on to establish the run.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we saw yesterday was they started off passing, to your point, to establish the pass and then to pass them more. It looked like a 7-on-7 throwing clinic for Julian Sayin, which is fine. We don't need running yards in the fourth quarter. It's fine. Keep throwing.
Yeah, he was 85.7% completions. 85.7. And I wrote an article this morning and I was like, you know what? What is that in NBA free throw percentage? That's 22nd in the NBA. And he's throwing at a moving target, not a still rim right there in front of him. Wow. It's impressive. It would be impressive against air.
I'm surprised it's that low. I would have thought that would have been higher on the NBA.
No, I mean, when you have guys like Stephen Curry getting in there and
there's the great ones, and then there's everyone else. So it's
the great. He's top 22. I mean, if you throw that percentage in there.
First off, round up, man. Just say 86, man. Give the guy 3 base. You know,
his 86. All right, well, all right.
No, you said 85.7. I'm just saying.
I'm a stickler. Hey, man, you got to earn it. Just kidding.
I think he did. I think as you start breaking down some of those throws. And listening to Gary Danielson, I think was key.
Oh, you want to hear it? I got it. I got it timed up right here.
Look, let's build off that.
You want me to bring Gary Danielson?
I want the Ennis one because that's where Gary Danielson was talking about it. I think that was the Ennis throw.
Well, I do have that, and it was the Ennis throw, and it was absolutely amazing. I just shared it this morning to Twitter. So
it's all right. I mean, I'm used to you calling audibles, not the other way around. That was not in the show.
You audible me all you want, man. My goodness, that was hot, man. Let me make sure I got the right one. I think it was.
I think it was Ennis, and he only had one. So
it was definitely Ennis. It was most definitely Ennis. All right, here we go. Let's chime it up, see how this works for video this morning. We do have a lot of rain in Ohio right now. Here we go.
Sayin see if he runs with it here. Nope, late throw, and touchdown. Come on, it's Brandon Inniss. You usually don't get away with a throw that late, but watch this laser beam for the touchdown.
You have to remind, I did this. I did this for a living. Look at this. And where he puts this ball. Every one of his throws are right at that point for those receivers to go up and get it, and they go up and get it for a touchdown on this play.
So that's multiple.
First of all, I want to give props to Brandon Inniss too, because that defender had
NFL catch.
Yes, that defender had his hand in there on the ball. Strong hands, man. Strong hands. And yeah, when Gary Danielson said that, I was like, wow. Gary Daniels was like, I did this for a living. That was awesome.
He was an NFL quarterback. Gary Danielson knows what he's talking about. And all the components of that, right? You see him high point the ball in it. We all remember Dwight Clark end zone that we've seen hundreds and hundreds of times in our lives about high pointing the ball. He high pointed the ball. Defender legally draped all over him, just great coverage. So tight coverage, got 2 feet down. But what Julian Sayin did, rolling out to the right on the run, it looked like it was probably I'd probably say 28 yards in total. Yeah, that you're looking at that pass. It was only 18 given the end zone, but absolute laser beam precision, catch. This is everything I think we wanted to see as Buckeye fans. Is you're actually seeing this team looking like NFL talent on Saturday.
Absolutely. And that's what we all had in our minds was throw these NFL wide receivers, those NFL balls from a quarterback that is absolutely head and shoulders above where any of us thought he was going to be. We knew he could sling it, but not like that, man. Absolutely not like that. And I was actually kind of impressed with how the DBs were playing. Maybe not. They were actually, it was draped all over.
Legally draped all over. Yeah.
Jeremiah Smith, he had receivers all over him. Now, that's the frustrating part, and I think I'll add a little bit of frustration in here, is it seems like almost every ball to Jeremiah Smith is underthrown if it's a deep ball, and he has to come back for it. He's got the guy beat, and he's making a play back, but he just can't get his hands on it because he's so far ahead of the wide receiver or the DB that he just can't make it back to make those plays. It's a little bit frustrating for him for the deep balls, but I mean, I think he had 13 receptions or targets at least, and probably 10. He pulled 10 or 11 in. How many receptions did Jeremiah Smith have?
9.
9 receptions, almost double digit. But he was still getting targeted, right? They were throwing him the ball, and that's what we wanted. Give the playmakers the ball.
But I think you make a great point, though. We've seen the deep ball perfection to take.
Yes.
He's executed it in multiple games, multiple times. I don't recall, maybe the Minnesota game, there was one, but outside of one, perhaps, I do not recall the deep ball in stride connection between Sayin and Smith. So I am a little curious if that is maybe just not a route that they're running a ton in practice. Maybe Tate and Inniss are more the deep ball threats. Maybe Smith is more route running precision. But we have not seen that.
They just have the two guys. I mean, he's doubled. They have the safety over top, and he can't get them deep.
To your point,
when he does,
we could probably pull up 6 examples, though, where the deep ball has been open to Smith. He's burned his guy one-on-one coverage. And to your point, it's either allowed the cornerback to come back because he has to come back to the ball, or it is underthrown. You haven't seen him do it in stride.
Correct. You're absolutely right about that. And that's something hopefully that they have figured out by the end of the season. But we can't complain about anything Julian Sayin's doing when he's putting up numbers like this. 36 of 42 for 394 yards and 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's a Heisman-like day, man.
It's funny.
Day. 80% on the season now. 80%. Those are unheard of numbers. And this guy's starting year 1. He's only 7 games deep. And throwing 80%. I know he's taking the checkdowns a lot of time and taking what the defense gives him because they're playing deep. But, man, he's doing it right. Yeah, that'd be hard to do against air. A 7-on-7 tournament, you don't throw 80%.
80% is tough to do in any.
And Buckeye fans, we just have to be head over heels, like completely happy about this showing, about what our offense is going to be. And I don't know. I want to get a little picky, though. I do want to get a little picky. We've established running back 2. Isaiah West is absolutely RB2. No questions about it. Put him in the game. And yeah, if you want to do CJ Donaldson for the short yardage, be my guest. I'm okay with that. But I'd rather see Bo in short yardage. If we're 4th and 2 from the goal line, from the 2-yard line, I should say 4th and goal. If we're 4th and goal, I want Bo with the ball, not CJ. I know CJ can make it, but if Bo needs to make a move, he's going to do it. If he needs to plow through, he's going to do it.
I think you make a great point about the running back room in rotation from what we saw in this game.
Mm-hmm.
2 things that really stuck out to me. One, CJ Donaldson only had 2 carries yesterday in a blowout type game. That game was never really contested. I know it was 17-0 for a while, but it wasn't ever really contested. So you're saying, okay, why is he only getting 2 carries when he was getting a bunch of carries prior to? And the second most glaring thing, Peoples had 0 carries yesterday. Again, in a game that you kind of had control of really from the start. So there was never any doubt there. So I think 2 really interesting things. And to add on to that, Isaiah West has 9 carries. Now, again, how many of those carries were in the second half? Remains to be seen. They weren't running the ball, to our point, quite a lot. But I think you are starting to see Isaiah West possibly move into that RB2 space. Maybe Donaldson specialty RB3. I think it's very curious that you're not seeing Peoples here anywhere.
And the Taylor Shabola experiment, I think it's over. Padilla has won that job. Let's just call it how it is and put him in. I mean, they're saying he earned it. They're putting him in there slowly. It's a lot like the Bo Jackson thing to me. I think maybe at Ohio State they're a little reluctant to take guys that have earned it in the past. You want to get them over that hump and see if they can make it. But I think that experiment's over, and it's time. It's time for Padilla to be the starter at right guard. It's time.
I did want to circle back to what we were talking about prior to the running backs room.
Okay.
I forget who was in the locker room last week that said something about Sayin and Heisman. And to be blunt, we kind of brushed it off. He just wasn't in the conversation, was probably, I didn't see at that time, was probably 10th or 15th, right, in odds, just kind of on the outside. No one's really talking about him. I looked at a couple sports books this morning. He's got the 3rd best odds to win the Heisman right now.
That's climbing. That's
significantly climbing. And they talked about it quite a bit at the end on the broadcast about his Heisman campaign. And I thought, this is a little odd. You don't just see that kind of talk come out of nowhere.
Yep.
It almost felt like a campaign. And now you're seeing the sports books align with that campaign.
The campaign has started. 1,872 yards on the season, 19 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, 80% completion percentage. Hello, Heisman. I mean, it's time. It is time. This was just the game that you needed to do it. You needed those breakout throws, and we haven't even shown one of the best ones yet. Let's go ahead and get into that. The Carnell Tate. Man, that first touchdown pass. I'm going to have to show that one too, man. I got to share this one. It's that good.
I agree, man. I almost don't know which is better, the pass or the catch.
That's true too. That's absolutely true. I don't know either, because that catch was amazing. It split 2 defenders. It was only where Carnell Tate could get it. He's the only guy that could catch that. And I'm just impressed with both of them. You're right. Which one's better? A locker room? Do you think the catch
which one you think is better?
Do you think the catch is better than the throw, or vice versa? Because I don't know. Let's watch it. For some reason, oh my goodness, man. That is one hell of a throw. I'm not sure why it's muted, but it is a hell of a throw, brother. Wow. I hope they have the replay of this up there because, man, just Tate goes up in between two guys and gets this just back of the end zone from 43 yards out, 42 yards out where he was standing.
Yeah.
Dime.
Probably.
Dime.
And again, great coverage by Wisconsin. You could say it all day. Great coverage. And that's a 3rd and 11 play too. Again, to put it into context, 1st and 10, that's an easier throw to make.
For sure.
Because if it doesn't happen, you're like, okay, go to 2nd down. That's a throw that if you don't make that throw, you're probably in no man's land.
Yeah.
Because that's a 50-yard field goal, right? Are you going to do that? Do you want 3 points early on your first drive? That took some chutzpah.
And we talked about how this team would be pesky, this Wisconsin team. Man, do you feel bad for Luke Fickell? Do you feel bad for him?
Yeah. I'd feel even worse if they fire him today. It's like you had to face your old team and then we fire you.
Yeah. You had to face that juggernaut. I don't understand how Iowa put 37 points up against this team, man. I mean, I know they're bad, and I know Iowa's better offensively than they ever have been, to my knowledge. They got a quarterback that can run it, man. So what about – do you want to jump into the defense before we go around the nation and talk about some of those games?
You know what? Sayin had such a great game that I definitely allowed you this week to talk offense first because it was a game that put him in the Heisman discussion. But yes, we should be talking about the defense again.
Let's read this. Fewest points allowed by an FBS team through 7 games since 2000. 41 points. 5.8 points per game allowed. Wow. 5.8. I don't see a lot of teams scoring against Ohio State through the rest of the schedule, at least the regular season schedule.
No. We said it a couple weeks ago. It's a race to 21 with this Ohio State offense. That once Ohio State's offense hits 21, you have this feeling like the other team's not scoring more than 21 on us. It almost feels like the game's over once Ohio State gets past 21.
Dude, it's like 16's the most that anyone scored. So,
and again, that was a late 4th quarter drive. I don't really want to call it garbage time specifically, but it kind of was. You were up 24 points when Illinois had that drive and scored that 6.
Really, if we get to 10, you're like, chances are, statistically, they're not going to beat us. They don't have a chance. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We talked about that boa constrictor mentality, and that's what you're doing by putting points on the board early. Again, even touchdowns, field goals, it doesn't matter. You're putting so much pressure now on the opposing team's offense because they know what they're facing with this D. And that's where continually to stack points in that first half, get that 14, 17, 20, even 27. Once you start doing that, it just makes the defense's job that much easier.
And it's weird because that's what I wanted to see against Washington. That's what I wanted to see against Illinois. Get that lead started early. And they really kind of did against Illinois. But I wanted them to see, and they started a little bit against Illinois passing, but then they went right back to that run pass offense. And I don't know why you pull it out against Wisconsin. Is that just testing it? Is that just, all right, this is the time in the season where, we're in the second half of the season, we're ready to just show our true colors? I don't really know what the philosophy is, like what the schematic advantage is to bringing it out now, because everyone knew that's Ohio State's offense. That's who they are. I mean, that's the strength of the team, right? Is their passing game. I mean, if you exclude the defense, the strength of the offensive side of the ball, right? What
it is.
Why now? Why Wisconsin? Like, I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit because I want to get picky and I want this team to be the best team ever, obviously. Why do you start that now?
I think it starts today when you're sitting down and thinking, what do I want to do for the next game? Maybe this was the next iteration. when he was targeting that, and it aligned where this is a unit that maybe has been a little underdeveloped. So I want to develop that this week. You've seen that progression. And again, I think with the Washington game, you really do have to put a lot of that aside because that was Julian Sain's first road game. It was a 3-0 team, pretty loud environment early on. That first half, you can kind of put that to the side, right? They won the game, they moved on. That's the motto here with all these games. Mm-hmm. And then the same with Illinois. You're on the road, ranked team, put them away early by doing a combination of things. Same at Wisconsin. And maybe, and again, we've seen it with different things. You know, with the Minnesota game, it was very clear the game plan was Carnell Tate that game. That was the focal point of the Minnesota game. You're seeing it a little bit different in the Illinois game. This was passing. Who knows what Ryan Day is going to cook up in 2 weeks? Because I bet you see a little more attempts to score and score big and score often a couple weeks from now. I think that might be a little personal.
Really? Why? Why might you say that? Just maybe a little personal. You're saying he wants to make their defensive coordinator look bad or something?
Possibly. I don't know. We can speculate in the locker room as to the why behind that, but possibly does. And that's another game. I'll say this: Penn State still on paper has a hell of a lot of talent. Don't dismiss that. For sure. They're 0-4 in the Big Ten. I get it. Don't dismiss that. This team has one game left. That's their Super Bowl, and it's 2 weeks from now. Put them away early. Yep. Put them away hard early. 21-0. Own them. Put them away. Don't fool around in that game.
For sure.
In trouble.
For sure. Score and score often. You know, and that whole, if you go back to Big Ten media days, when I was there interviewing James Franklin, and he talked about the stack of papers that they had on this Buckeye. Well, no, actually, they had their scouting report of Penn State that Ohio State had. So he brought in that scouting report. I mean, I know that that's perfectly legal and everything, but that has to piss off this offense, right? Like, this has to piss off Day, has to piss off the whole coaching staff, and, you know, the band of brothers that they had, man. These guys were all boys, and seems like Knowles kind of separated himself from that from the get-go. Like, I don't know how you're a team, you know, trying to motivate young men and you just lock yourself in a room. It's refreshing to see Matt Patricia out there every single game. There's a video clip of him down on the field dapping up the boys afterwards, man. Every game. And is that on purpose? Is that to highlight Matt Patricia, or is that to be like, yo, we got one better? How you doing over there at Penn State, huh?
It's also the fact that he's on the sideline versus up in the press box. And I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. I want to be very clear about that.
Thanks for being the voice of reason. Thanks, Vanna White.
I have to. Yeah, I'll take that. Again, you say insult, I say compliment. But it depends on your style. And Matt Patricia is a guy that maybe sees it a little bit better on the field. There's some people that like that bird's eye view. Yeah. Seeing what the offense is trying to do from a route perspective and see it firsthand. Neither are right or wrong, but the fact Jim Knowles is in the press box. So he's not going to be naturally interacting on the field. Patricia's on the field. I think personality types, Patricia seems to really be hungry to educate, hungry to actually coach. And I think you're seeing that permeate a little bit more. I think you saw with Knowles, it felt more like a dictatorship. In the sense that you're going to do what I say. I'm not really interested in your opinion. So different coaching philosophies, different styles. But I don't care what you bring from Ohio State to Penn State. That doesn't matter. You have all of our tendencies. Great. We'll deviate from the tendencies. It's the ultimate chess match. Doesn't matter. So it is what it is. We'll talk Penn State, I'm sure, more at the end. I just wanted to make sure, as we were talking about every game looking a little bit different, I think to your point, that's kind of what you want to see here sitting in, week 8 after 7 games. You don't want to create tendencies. You don't want to have, okay, in 3rd and 3, I go here all the time. On 1st and 10, I tend to do this a little bit more. You want to look completely different every week so that defenses have no idea what your tendencies are.
But also, to Ryan Day and Carnell Tate's point, it's how the defense is playing against. You talked about Minnesota. They were playing man-to-man. You take the deep shots all day. You have the horses to do it, you do it. Most teams have been playing back, have been trying to keep everything in front. Ryan Day said in his press conference, I've heard some of the other coaches' press conference saying we're going to do everything we can to keep everything in front of us, which makes sense. Like, make a young quarterback drive the length of the field every single time, make this offensive line not make any mistakes, holding, penalties, things of that regard, and make them drive down the field and score. Would you rather that, or you rather a 40-yard deep ball right over your head to Tate or to Jeremiah Smith? I think if you're a smart defensive coordinator, you probably take the extended drive all the way down the field. And how do you attack that? We're talking about the passing game, whether it's pass first, run first. I think this team is built for it always to be a pass first, whether it's through a deep ball or through the intermediate / short routes. That's different. That's depending on how the defense is playing, what they're giving up. And they've been giving up those short balls. That's why you see all these small, and small, I mean like 8 to 12-yard routes that Jeremiah Smith is getting. He's not getting the deep balls because they're giving him that cushion to get the 8-yard routes, to get the 10-yard routes. And yeah, sometimes he's been wide open when he does get finalized, but I think Sayin's already locked in somewhere else where someone's wide open. By the time Jeremiah Smith shakes his dude, which he does frequently, Sayin's already got something open, and he's gonna hit it because he's a quick reader.
Well, that's also the other component about having 3 NFL wide receivers.
Correct.
Okay, Jeremiah could say, "Hey, I'm open," and then Ennis is saying, "Yeah, that's why I got the ball. I'm open too." And I'm just saying that in general because they're open. Mm-hmm. So he's hitting the open receiver because they're NFL talent wide receivers and they're getting open. So if Jeremiah is even the second progression in the read, the first progression may have been open.
Yeah.
So you're just not going to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
He had 9 catches yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So let's put everything in perspective.
They were feeding him. I mean, I keep track of it on Twitter every single game. I want 12 targets, and they got 12 targets easily. He had 8 in the first half, which is right on time, man. Right where we need to be. And I only keep track of it because, yeah, some games they're not going to get it. But ideally, you get your superstar the ball at least 12 times. And they did it. They did it up in Badger country, and they came away jumping around in the end zone more than the jump around actually happened with a half full student section.
Yeah, it's a tough season in Wisconsin, and it's not going to get any better with that schedule they have. That could be a 3-win football team when it's all said and done. Because next week they go to Oregon.
Ooh.
Sorry, Coach Fickle.
Sorry. Doug Shepard's in the house. The leader of the locker room, Doug Shepard. And Steely Matt, thanks for reposting that, man. I appreciate it. So where do we want to go from here? Do we want to start talking about where Ohio State has weaknesses on the defense? Who can go into those? Who can possibly exploit those weaknesses? Because this is where I'm a little bit scared about Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. And I want to preface this by saying, yeah, of course, Ohio State's the number 1 team in the country, but they're not seeing teams like that can spread the field and get that ball out quick, like Mendoza can do. And I don't know how many wide receivers Indiana has. I know they have their dude.
Surratt
is, yeah, his name escaped me for a second, but Surratt he was good last year, good this year. I mean, he tore up Washington last year. I was at that game. There is a weakness on the defense. Well, the defense is set up. Maybe that's a good question. The defense is set up to confuse the quarterback pre-snap. And if you don't have time to confuse the quarterback pre-snap, by running that no huddle up tempo, knowing where you're going to get the ball, have a lot of scripted plays. Possibly it has a weakness there. And the good thing is we saw that against Illinois. Those 2 touchdowns drives that they had were quick passes. Out now, out now, out now, out now. Before the defense had a chance to show that they were in zone and then switch to man, those changes are what confuse other defenses. And I think, unfortunately, Brett Bielema was right on point when he went back and looked at how the Giants beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Quick passes. Get it out quick. Don't let that defense adjust. Don't let that defense confuse you. That's where I'm scared with Indiana. And that's all I'm saying.
No, they're valid points. And I think if you are looking for a potential weak spot on the defense, you hit the nail on the head with the unique zones.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're trying to have, when you have somebody in the middle of the field that's maybe covering, cover 2,
Mm-hmm.
other half of the field, or you have a linebacker that's running deep cover 3. What we're talking about when you're disguising your zone and showing a guy that you don't think is really going to be in that zone, being in that zone,
Mm-hmm.
that takes a little bit of time. It takes a couple seconds. So one way to very quickly counteract that is the 3-step drop. Now, you need to read the right pockets in a 3-step drop, because that is where quarterbacks get in trouble, where 3-step drops tend to be slant, hook,
Mm-hmm.
quick out, those kind of things. So you do have to read, okay, am I reading the zone properly? And do I find a gap, whether it's cover 2, cover 3, if it's a cover 4, perhaps, that I can find that pocket within that quick 3 to 6 yard range.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Mendoza can do something like that. But that's one way you quickly counteract the unique zone concept is getting the ball out quickly. The second way would be longer 5-7-step drop, letting the defense develop, and then finding those pockets in the true zone once it's established. Every zone has pockets. You got to find them. What's important about that is you need to have the time to find them in that second concept. So now you're putting the onus on the front 4 to be getting pressure. And that's where it depends on the style of quarterback. I'll be very honest. I do not know if Mendoza is a running quarterback. That's where you add that component of fear. Because when you look at the Washington game, and if anybody watched the Michigan game yesterday, it was kind of the same defensive concept where you're keeping gap integrity, run lane integrity, and you're not letting a scrambling quarterback like Damon Williams out of the pocket. Now, you're not going to get pressure in those cases, or pressure may take 6-7 seconds, which is a really long time, but you're keeping that gap integrity. If you pair a running quarterback or a mobile quarterback with the ability to push the ball down the field like a Mendoza or an Altmaier, that's where you start to get a little scared.
Now, the flip side of that is the athletes that Ohio State has and where Doug Shepard was trying to go as a fan. Arvell Reese, you saw Sonny Styles with the pick that he had, how athletic they are, how quickly they can drop into those zones. And this defense has just shown it. 5.8 points per game allowed. Wow. Absolute wow. So I don't think Indiana's faced a team like Ohio State either with the receivers like Ohio State. I don't think that you really have a quarterback like Ohio State, even though they had Oregon that they faced. I don't think Oregon was as talented at their linebacker position as Ohio State. I don't think anyone in the country is as talented as Ohio State linebackers or Ohio State defense in general. That's where that could come back and bite Indiana, where Ohio State could probably take that game, even if they are attacking those weak spots. I think Ohio State gets more turnovers in a game like that against an Indiana than anyone like Oregon or any big teams that Indiana has faced. Have they faced Illinois and Oregon? That's it, right? And they struggled a little bit against Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
They struggled a little bit against Michigan State to start the game too. So going back and look at that game tape would obviously be beneficial probably. But that, could have been just a hangover off a big win.
It could have been, but that's where I don't think we've seen them play a true running quarterback with the ability to push the ball down the field. And I'm using that clarifying factor because Damon Williams struggles to push the ball down the field. He's the type of quarterback that is very athletic, very mobile, but really needs to get out of the pocket, have about 5 yards of open space, scan the field, hit a wide open wide receiver. That's where his talent lies. Being able to get out of the pocket and push the ball down the field where you maybe have some more tight pressure, that's what we haven't seen yet. I don't know if that's out there. Again, I'm trying to pull up Mendoza's rushing yards because I really don't know if he is a running quarterback or just a pure passer. But you look at somebody like Marcel Reed down at Texas A&M, athletic quarterback, I would say a better passer than like Damon Williams. So athletic, can run the ball and can push it a little bit further down the field. That's a team you could be facing in the playoffs. Carson Beck's a little bit more of a gunslinger, not really a rusher, can run for the ball. But yeah, that's the next iteration. I think we need to see with its defense is how did they respond with a very athletic, mobile quarterback who can push the ball down the field. And guess what? You have that test. It's the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Doug, we got on it right before you got on the show. We talked about saying, we started off there with saying, because damn, dude, absolutely pinpoint accuracy. We showed the video of him in that pass to Ennis, which was just a thing of beauty, and how the commentators even were they were like throwing shade, or not throwing shade. They were actually like talking him up. You know, they were like, wow. Gary Danielson was like, I did this for a living. I cannot believe the throw I just saw out of Julian Sayin. It perfect. And Ennis brought that in. We talked about that, his hands, how strong he was bringing that ball in. NFL catch, NFL throw, all around. And we saw it. The first touchdown, too. That Carnell Tate touchdown, NFL throw, NFL catch, all the way. And the DBs for Wisconsin, you got to give them credit. They were in the spot. We just have far too great a talent. Wow.
So with Mendoza, he's got 41 carries on the year for 151 yards. And again, sacks are rushing carries. So you have to parse that out a little bit. So it does look like he runs the ball some.
A little bit.
An interesting test to your point. Also, fun fact, Fernando's brother is on Indiana's team as a quarterback.
Really?
I did not know that.
Alberto, I didn't know that either.
I've never looked at Indiana. I forget. But Alberto's a freshman. They're both from Miami. They both have the last name. I have to assume they're brothers, or that's a hell of a coincidence.
That's interesting.
I guess he's a true freshman. So
that's very.
But I think you're starting to sell me a little bit more on the Indiana factor. And maybe they are a threat again with a quarterback like Mendoza. Not only is he, top three, actually he's the favorite right now for the Heisman. But you are getting a lot of pre-draft buzz on could be the first quarterback taken in April.
Oh, yeah.
And so you have to take that seriously. If you got NFL scouts saying this kid is rising up the draft boards, could be the number one overall pick in the draft, that means something.
Doug comes through. I'm sorry, I got to get back to the locker room because we actually asked that earlier. Which one was a better pass? Or actually we asked, was it a better pass or a better catch? But that's true too. I don't know which one. I think it is. I think I agree with you that it's Ennis. That one in the corner of the end zone was a thing of beauty.
It was Montana Clark-esque. I'm not going to say it was because that is one of the greatest catches in NFL history, but it felt kind of like that. On the run, back corner, a place where only your receiver can get it, 2 feet down. It was incredible.
And how smooth has Sayin been in that pocket? He seems like he's like that guy that has eyes in the back of his head. You know, when they say teachers have eyes in the back of their head, he has the timing down. He knows when to step forward. He knows when to step out, and he's keeping his eyes down the field all the while, stringing it out. He knows the wide receivers that he has, they're going to be open eventually. And he's willing to risk taking those big hits like he did against Minnesota. That was probably the best play I've seen from him all season long, standing in the pocket waiting for the hit, because that's not something that's natural. That was the eye-opening play of the season for me, seeing Sayin just take that hit and get that ball in the end zone. I don't think it was in the end zone actually, but over the middle.
It's an absolute great point that you're making. And go back and look at those 2 touchdown passes that we're talking about. What the Carnell Tate one, what you see is the drop back and then moving up in the pocket, navigating the blocks, which again, that's what you do in the NFL. You don't start going backwards and circling around left and right. You're going to get killed in the NFL. What you do in the NFL is you manipulate the pocket. And you saw that was saying on that first throw to Tate was he was back. He's moving up in the pocket, which is exactly what you're taught to do, to buy yourself some time and space to continue to read the field because you're facing forward. You're moving up in the pocket. The throw to Ennis, moving up, but then the rollout as well.
Yep.
You're seeing this really strong pocket presence from Sayin, who's a redshirt freshman. It's absolutely phenomenal football acumen at the quarterback position.
Saying. Wow.
Just saying.
This is a thing of beauty. And Doug, spot on. Exactly what we were saying. Doug was telling people Sayin made an NFL play rolling out and putting the ball in a perfect spot. Yeah. And Gary Danielson was like, yeah, I agree. Ennis got drafted with that after that catch. That's a good point.
I think he's still one more, doesn't he?
No, he's a senior. I think you take any Ohio State wide receiver that's on the field. I think that we've established that is something that you do. If you're in the NFL and they're still available in the 6th round, you're going to get drafted, or at least you should.
But it's beyond the numbers. And let's be very clear about that. Go back even prior to 2 years ago, and you look at the 10-year span of Ohio State football. You had great quarterbacks putting up big stats, wide receivers making a lot of yards, a lot of plays, but you weren't really seeing up until maybe, even Terry McLaurin was a 3rd-round pick. I'm trying to think who the first-round pick in that line was. It may have been Garrett Olave. But you weren't really seeing the 1st round until probably Garrett and Olave. Why? Is because what you're seeing is not statistical. It's what they're doing on the field. They're route running. They're catching the ball at its highest point, getting 2 feet in the ground. What you're seeing from the wide receivers at Ohio State over the last 5-6 years is they look like NFL wide receivers on Saturday. Yep. And that is critically important. It's not about did you have 14 catches for 190 yards. A lot of wide receivers in college football put up stats because it's still college football. You can get open and make a lot of big plays. It's, are you doing the things that make you look like an NFL player? And we're going to keep hammering that because what you're seeing from the players at Ohio State now with this coaching staff is they are looking like NFL players on Saturdays, and that is critically important.
And it's spreading to other positions, to be honest with you. Like the next iteration is how iron sharpens iron. How does the DB room respond to that wide receiver room being the best of the best? They start being BIA. How does the linebacker room respond to be like, hey, these DBs are getting good. We need to do our part. They go out and get an Arvell Reese and a Sonny Styles and a Peyton Pierce, and then have waiting in the wings Riley Pettijohn showing his true colors when he gets out there. Stacked, man. Devin Sanchez, when he gets in there, going to be stacked. You saw that hit by Aaron Scott to end the game, basically. Wow, dude. He just took out the trash, man. He said, no, you're not scoring points on this team. I might be 2nd team right now, but I'm 1st team in the future, and I'm going to the NFL. That's what that hit told me.
A couple of things of what you said. First off, that hit. Watching it live, first thought I thought was, oh, man, did he go high? No, he did not. It was textbook when you watch it on the replay. Textbook, shoulder, no lunging, went right at the other guy's shoulder. Clean hit, absolutely textbook, brilliant. That, again, technique plays out. And then you go back to Sanchez. Go back and listen what Sanchez said when they asked him why he picked Ohio State. Devin Sanchez, 5-star, could have went anywhere in the country he wanted to go. He wanted to come to Ohio State because of the wide receivers at Ohio State. What does Devin Sanchez get to practice against every single day? First-round wide receivers. That's only going to make him better, and it's going to get him to his ultimate goal, which is being a Pro Bowl NFL cornerback, which he has every potential to be, probably will be.
Yeah, Troy, this Ohio State team, it may have another gear to it. Yeah, we left meat on the bones in a lot of games. But, when it starts being pushed to shove, you get towards the end of the season, you get to November games. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of meat on the bones coming at the end of those games. Scary good.
But when Steve and I talked throughout the week, and we've talked about this probably the last 6 weeks or so, why I hammer this NFL concept and philosophy so much is because that is the other gear you're getting to that you're not going to see in college football is, are you playing an NFL style game? Are your players looking like they should be playing on Sundays? Because that is the gear you get to that is going to dominate college football.
Why don't you read this one for me?
It says that hit was insane. He has a bright future, but top recruit Gabe Owners is going to come in and compete for a starting spot first year.
Read the name again.
Which one?
The name of the recruit.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Sorry, I had to set you up for that one. That was good, actually.
I'll be honest, I read it a couple times in my head. I didn't elongate it.
Yeah.
You know what? Have a little fun.
For a little bit, I was like, who is that recruit? I've never heard of him.
I'd never heard of him either. But I will admit I don't have my finger on the pulse of recruiting, so it could have been real. Given the fact that you set me up for it, I'm like, it's probably not. That's why I read the name pretty fast. So,
yeah. Anyway, getting back to it, Doug Shepard, waiting till the last possible second to raise their hands to catch the ball. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Doug was a little concerned that Ennis has been the role player. I mean, he's that guy that's almost Emeka Egbuka-esque from last year. Emeka Egbuka did have more targets than Ennis for sure, but Ennis is going to show out. And when he needs to, when you call on him, he's going to step up like he did.
I mean, first off, he is a junior. So I wouldn't be shocked if he does come
senior for sure.
I just looked.
He probably should come back. He's a fifth-year junior then, right?
I don't know that. I just pulled up his tab, and one of the sets I was looking at, it just said junior. So maybe he's a redshirt. He's certainly eligible for the NFL draft, but I'd have to dig a little deeper. I'd probably say right now, maybe round 3, round 4 type. Mm-hmm. But he's getting there because, again, you're going to see these NFL teams naturally gravitating towards Ohio State wide receivers. Towards the technique, route running, and footwork.
They're going to start gravitating, and I think they do already to some extent, towards Ohio State players in general. I mean, if you look at Cody Croy's articles he puts out, Buckeyes in the Big League, go to College Football Backers and check that out. cfbackers.com. Cody Croy puts them out every week. I got them on Twitter. I got them on Facebook too, and post them there. So check it out, man. It's just a highlight of money-making ability by Ohio State players, and it's awesome.
Well,
scoring left and right.
Be interesting to see tomorrow night on Monday night. You got the Lions versus the Buccaneers, right? So you got a Buckeye. He's a game-time decision, but hopefully he plays. And then the night game, you got the Texans Seahawks with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, I keep texting you on Sundays. You're not getting it. These NFL broadcasts are literally pulling up promos in whatever reads on Ohio State wide receivers in the NFL. Every time Egbuka goes off, every time Smith and Jigba goes off, Marvin Harrison, these guys. And I know Marvin Harrison's kind of having a down year this year, but that's what I encourage you to go see. We gotta get one of those up because the stat of the top 8 Buckeye wide receivers in the NFL is pretty incredible.
Oh yeah, it's impressive. And would you think anything else though? Would you think anything else from what Heartline's been doing with them? No, not really. It's just nice to see. Who was the leading tackler? Let's get into the defense a little bit more.
Caleb.
Caleb Downs. All right, so that's the 6th different leading tackler of the season. I think it was Sonny Styles that doubled it up. Wow.
6 and 7 games. Yeah.
6 different leading tacklers in 7 games. That's a crazy statistic. I don't know if that's ever happened before, and I don't know how to look it up. But that's impressive. That's telling me that the defense is stacked level on level on level, position on position on position. Everyone on that defense is elite.
It is, and they're all in position, and it's all just do your job.
And how many sacks?
It's as simple as that.
How many sacks?
3 sacks and then 7 TFLs.
3 sacks, 7 TFLs. You know what? There's points in the game when you're like, how is Ohio State only up 20-0? And then the next thing you know, it's 34-0. You're like, I don't know where those points came from. This defense is so suffocating. They had 144 total yards. Julian Sayin had 169 through the air in the first quarter. That is insane. Those stats are just this defense, man, second level. I don't think there's anyone that can argue that this is the number 1 team in the nation.
There's no argument, but that's where we sit here and say only 20-0, right? I'm watching the London game right now.
Yeah.
Jags Rams. Rams just threw a touchdown. They're up 21-0. I'll tell you right now, that game feels over in the NFL. It's the second quarter. It feels over because a 21-point lead in the NFL, it's very daunting. You don't just start chucking the ball around. I know in some cases you do see in the NFL, but it's not very common. I feel the same way when I watched 20-0 yesterday. I felt like the game was over. I didn't need to see 42-0 or 45-0 like we've seen in the past. 20-0, that game felt over yesterday.
Yep.
NFL style play.
Well, yeah. It's an NFL style coaching staff, according to Troy.
It is.
It really is.
Spot on. And we're going to keep beating that drum. This coaching staff is on another level in college football. I do not see a coaching staff anywhere else in college football that rivals this, short of maybe Kirby Smart. Because that guy, for some reason, got forgotten for what he's done, and he has got Georgia rolling.
Didn't get forgotten yesterday.
No, sir. But I would put Ryan Day and Kirby Smart in the upper echelon tier of coaching, and then I put the other 134 head coaches below that.
Oh, for sure.
Significantly.
I mean, it's hard to keep Dabo out just because of those 2 national titles, but what he's showing now is that was a thing of the past.
No, it's not, because what he's showing us now is his inability to adapt. That's what he's showing. And if you as a coach have an inability to adapt, you are not a successful coach. Yeah, he's got 2 titles. I understand that. He had Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, and he could stack a bunch of recruits on his depth chart and have just 4-star after 4-star coming in. He has not shown the ability with the loss of Venables and not having a true 5-star talented type quarterback to adapt. Kirby has. Ryan Day has.
Man, Troy's coming with all the comments.
These are good ones too.
Yeah. Every time this happens at other schools, the NFL teams come calling and they overpay just to get them, and let's enjoy it while we have it.
Absolutely. I think Patricia, if we have him for one more season, I think it's a blessing. I just think he's probably got that NFL feel. And again, it has to be personality and preference. Some people align a little bit more with the college game. Some people like the professionalism of the NFL. There's no right or wrong answer. It's personal choice. I see Patricia, again, ultimately getting back in the NFL. Just that's where his pedigree is. Maybe Ryan Day is at a point where he's just like, no, I'm a college coach. This is where I want to be. I mean, Nick Saban took that path. Why can't he do?
I mean, yeah, sometimes the grass isn't always greener. You come back to it. I don't think Ryan Day is going anywhere but college anytime soon. Now, the first thing that I would think of is, where's his son at in high school? I think his son is a junior or senior. I can't remember now. I think he's a senior, RJ Day. No, he's a junior. I'm pretty sure he's a junior. So he's going to see that through. Like, I don't think you have to worry about the NFL coming calling for Day because he's not going to leave till his son's done and graduated. After that, I still think Day's a Buckeye through and through.
I think it's a little bit different. We've talked about this in the past about these upper echelon blue blood schools, where you look at Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, where they're jobs that you're not going to leave to go to another college program once you've hit the pinnacle there. Some could even throw Notre Dame in there. I'm not sure. The only place you would leave would be to the NFL. But again, that has to be what's your style. I always look at somebody like PJ Fleck as a great example. PJ Fleck could never, ever, ever be an NFL coach. His style, the way he talks, the way he interacts, that works great for 18 to 22-year-olds. That doesn't work for grown-ass men. It's just not. And there's nothing right or wrong about his style. It's just that I look at that as the quintessential college football coach. And then it's funny because I would look at somebody like Bill Belichick as the quintessential NFL coach. We're all professionals. We're all getting paychecks. This is how you do your job. I can scream and yell at you. So I am curious how that does work at UNC. Maybe he's just having fun. But there are different personality types that fit better based on the style of football. And I don't know if Day wants to leave. And I lost Steve for a couple seconds. But that's where I think it goes beyond even Coach Day and where his children are in their schooling, simply because the fact that he is at Ohio State, I don't think it's about the money. And yes, I'm sure there is a school that can pay him or an NFL team that can pay him quite a bit, but it's not about the money. It's about where do you want to be with the program. And he has an NFL style program in college. Kept you going there, man.
Yeah. Good work.
You ducked out on me.
I figured it out. If I scroll too far, for some reason, it kicks me out. Like, as I'm scrolling in the comments, trying to bring back Troy's comment, because I think we're going to go around the Big Ten a little bit. That Indiana team will be interesting. They have an old team, 4th, 5th, 6th-year seniors. They don't recruit well as far as high school goes, but they hit the portal hard. They're trying to change that. They're recruiting. I know they recruited a running back out of Columbus, 4-star, and he's definitely sold on Indiana. So I think that they're trying to change that a little bit, but that's what they were built on. Absolutely. The transfer portal. So Indiana's the one that scares me, but the whole thing about this is look at the evolution of the Big Ten. We were at other than Ohio State, this is a completely different Big Ten than it used to be. Indiana, Oregon are top echelon. Like, say that 5 years ago.
Well, the Oregon's not surprising, right? They've had a steady program for a while, for 20 plus years. So
not surprising, but they're in the Big Ten and
yeah, that concept is. But Indiana is. But I will say I thought they were fool's gold last year, right? They played 2 tough games last year and they got beat pretty handily in both those 2 tough games. So I think they were a little fool's gold. Now, I think Mendoza is a significant upgrade over Rourke, and we're seeing that. So if you tell me, do you believe Indiana is dangerous this year? I would say yes. Long-term sustainability of the program to be determined, because in a lot of ways it's going to be driven by that quarterback position.
Correct. And they're going to have to start recruiting athletes. They can't be transfer portal every year.
You can't build your program solely up.
And they're going to, what they had was what they brought over from James Madison. And that's only going to last you so long too. Like, the foundation that they brought over was from his previous stop. So we're going to see.
It should not be overlooked, because prior to James Madison coming to the FBS, they were an FCS powerhouse. And we can kid all we want about that. That's a culture thing. Where at James Madison, you were coming in to win FCS championships.
Correct.
And so you had that championship mentality, and championship mentalities can be transferable if you're building that culture. And it looks like Cignetti is continuing that culture.
Correct. So I think next year and the year after are going to be the 2 biggest years for Indiana to determine if they're here to stay or it was just a blimp on the radar. But then going around the rest of college football, Miami losing 4 interceptions for Carson Beck. Someone said he was kind of grabbing on his elbow. I didn't see that yet, but that's a rumor I heard. So, and it was the surgical elbow. So we'll see. And Doug Shepard saying, yeah, they have a pledge from a high school linebacker that the Buckeyes also recruited. I think that's probably the same guy. It was out of, I always say this, the high school. I'm trying to think of it. My brother-in-law is the guidance counselor there. I don't even know if they call it guidance counselor anymore, but something along those lines. Gosh, I can't believe I can forget his name. Henry something. I can't remember his last name, but he's a running back and plays linebacker too. I think he was probably recruited as a linebacker. But anyway, getting back to around the NCAA, Texas Tech goes down. I was watching that game. That was a very interesting game because Texas Tech almost came back and won that thing. And who else went down? Obviously, Ole Miss went down. So who's getting scary? Georgia, Alabama are teams that can develop. They have the athletes to do it every year. Indiana's the other threat to Ohio State. And out of the ACC, is there anyone now? Is Miami still the threat?
Yeah, they're still a threat.
And BYU remains undefeated. I guess, is Georgia Tech undefeated still? They are.
Georgia Tech is undefeated. They
Georgia
are.
Tech may be a bigger threat than we're all imagining. They're a little under the radar. I know they're rated high for Georgia Tech, but they're still kind of under the radar as far as the grand scheme of things. And then, so Big 12, is that it? It's going to be Arizona State and BYU as of right now?
Don't forget about those Bearcats, man. They're 4-0.
4-0 in the Big 12. That's right. They just beat Oregon State kind of barely. That was a closer game than it should have been. Oregon State's not that good.
No, they didn't play Oregon State.
I thought they did.
No, Oregon State played Lafayette.
Oh, no, it was Oklahoma State. Yeah. One of those other OSUs.
Yeah. I mean, and you may chuckle a little bit. Don't look now, but Notre Dame's making a strong argument for the playoff too. And it's not the same Notre Dame we saw last year where it was basically a running only and not much else on offense with a great defense. I think you're seeing a more prolific offense from Notre Dame this year with a weaker defense. But I think if Notre Dame runs the table, which they are set up to do now, I bet they squeak in.
David Portnoy, nice name. I think Oregon is better than Indiana. I think they just had a bad game, and I think Ohio State will destroy Indiana in the championship game. I don't know. I'll see. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people imagine. Of course, I would pick Ohio State, but I think it would be a closer game than we're all going to think. And those tickets are going to fly, man. Those are going to be expensive tickets.
He makes a good point, though. And Indiana balled out that game. And if that game was in Bloomington, I would have given Oregon the benefit of the doubt. Oregon doesn't lose at home. They rarely lose at home. And Indiana went there and won by 10. That is a very impressive win on multiple fronts. But this is, again, what you saw yesterday. You saw number 2 go down. You saw number 5 go down. You saw number 7 go down. It almost felt yesterday to me like watching college basketball in January.
Oh, yeah.
When you watch college basketball in January, it's like, 4 top 10 teams lost this week, and everyone's like, okay, great, let's get to the next week. Because it's a loss in college basketball. It doesn't really matter all that much. That's kind of what you're feeling a little bit with college football, where, again, I think you're going to be shocked to see a lot of teams go 12-0. I just think you are. I think this loss now in college football is going to be more and more commonplace. And I don't think it's as surprising to see the upsets that we're used to, where back in the day, that loss with Miami on Friday could have tanked their whole season. They may be on the outside looking in. They'd have to win their ACC championship game. Not anymore. Not anymore. It's just all about seeding.
And Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt, I know they have that loss already, but that's a legit team too.
Potentially, the kid's got moxie. He does. And your only loss right now is to an Alabama team that's probably going to be top 5.
One of my friend's relatives wrestled against him in high school and said he was just an absolute beast, Diego Pavia. And that makes sense. That adds up to me.
Mental toughness for sure.
But let's bring that all back around to the Buckeyes. All these top teams losing, all these undefeated teams losing, and the Buckeyes are 7-0. Feels good. So what Ryan Day is doing is right. I mean, maybe doing that strategic offensive scheme is just exactly what these Buckeyes need to stay undefeated.
It's a long season. And again, this is where Buckeye Nation needs to understand you're playing till January 19th. That is the goal, to be playing on January 19th. Mm-hmm. That is still 3 months from today. A lot of football to be played.
Yeah.
And again, with this new world of college football, a loss doesn't do anything. A loss is a teachable moment. So we don't have to go into every game worried. You don't have to overanalyze everything, but you do need to have that 6-month mentality through this. And what you're seeing from Ohio State is the offense trying something new each and every week, trying to get the ball to somebody else, trying to establish this part of their game. There may be a week where that doesn't work. Have to get over that. The defense is historically good. They're going to keep doing their thing and being consistent throughout. So I think you're seeing everything you want to see from this Ohio State team in developing the offense, maintaining the defense. But I also want to caution everybody to say, guess what? You lose a game here or there, it's not the end of the world. It's a teachable moment.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. You're right.
No,
if you lose, it doesn't matter. So I guess what we do here is just say, Ryan Day, you got this team 7-0. We trust you, man. Thank you for making this team and this culture so strong and so NFL-like that we're going to be able to sustain for a long season and get to that mark. 17-0? Would it be 16-0? It would be 16-0.
It would be 16-0. You can't go 17-0.
Yeah, because you wouldn't go to the championship game, or you wouldn't.
Well, even if you went to the championship game, you'd have to have a loss to bump you out of the top 4. If you're 13-0, you're a top 4 team with a bye. So
correct. 16-0, man. Imagine that. First team ever. And it doesn't even matter if you get there. It doesn't even matter. As long as you win it, you hold that hardware.
The record's irrelevant. The record's irrelevant. You were 14-2 last year. How did it end?
You know what is relevant? We need some gold pants. We need to go up to Ann Arbor and whoop that team.
National championships, man.
National championships matter, but it feels a whole lot better when you got some gold pants underneath them.
No, I get it. I think if there is a second want to this season, I'd probably put beating Michigan. In fact, I'd probably put beating Michigan over a Big Ten championship. I guess I just don't really care if you win the Big Ten championship or not. As we proved last year, it's not relevant. Mm-hmm. But the number one goal is simply always going to be the national championship, because you stack national championships up. That's how you prove you're the best program in the country. What happens in Ann Arbor happens in Ann Arbor.
Yeah. And part of the selfishness of myself is I want that home playoff game again. I don't want to be have a bye week, man. How awesome was that? Having Tennessee come to the house and just get boat raced.
Oh, I have no problem being a top 4 bye. I really don't. I mean, I understand the concept, but you tell me I get one less game in the season. I mean, it's funny to say it. There is a world where maybe you have 2 less games, where let's say you do lose a Big Ten game, and I don't know all the tiebreakers exactly, but there could be a world where maybe you don't go to a Big Ten championship, but you have 1 loss and you're actually still a top 4 seed.
Oh yeah. Oh, that would be interesting. Well, that would be a weird scenario.
It'd be based on tiebreakers.
You can't. Oh, they don't have the automatic anymore. Yeah, you're right.
There's 9 teams in the Big Ten that have 0 or 1 losses.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's going to play true, right? I'm not looking at everyone's schedule to see, but there is a possibility Ohio State loses Penn State, loses Michigan, loses something. They have one Big Ten loss, and you have 4 or 5 teams with one loss. I don't know what the tiebreaker are.
And Troy, we've talked about this earlier.
Amen, Troy.
It's true. Ohio State's running that marathon. Everyone else is sprinting. Hey, man, we don't need to get to the finish line right now. We don't need to. We need to get to that finish line when we're hoisting trophies at the end of the college football playoff. This team's built to do it. This team is built to lift another trophy. And if we go back to back, I don't even know how I'll feel. I don't. We've never had that feeling before as Buckeye fans in the history of Buckeye Nation. I don't know how that feels. No one does as a Buckeye fan.
That's why we have to do it.
Back to back, it's time. Dude, Doug, I love this, man. Doug Shepard. I've been watching the Buckeyes for over 50 years, and I feel this is the zenith for the Ohio State University. We're at a place where we've never been. And going back to when Ryan Day took over for Urban Meyer, when you take over for a legend, that's the scariest thing to do because it can fall and it's going to fall hard. But to elevate it from there, that's impressive. That's something no one does.
I think what made that easier, and you could look at the same concept from Tressel to Meyer,
Mm-hmm.
is the legendary status tended to get put on coaches who've done it for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Bobby Bowden at Florida State, 40-some years. You look at Coach Paterno at Penn State, 40-some years. You even look at somebody like Nick Saban, who did it for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
You see these legends, but they've done it for a long period of time. When you saw Tressel and Meyer, they really only did it for 10 years, 7 years. So, yes, both Tressel and Meyer had a national championship, which elevated their status right above above John Cooper and other things like that, even though they were great coaches. But you didn't see it long-term sustainable. I think that's what you look at with somebody like Coach Day is, one, can you do what's never been done at Ohio State, back-to-back national championships? We haven't seen a coach in a very long time have multiple national championships. So can you do that as well, too? And then I think the third component, which we'd all really love to see, is we haven't seen a coach at Ohio State stay for those length of time that we outline. Do you see somebody like Ryan Day having 30 years at Ohio State when it's all set?
Being the next Woody Hayes? He's young enough.
That's what I'm asking.
He's young. Do I see him? I don't know if the stress and the pressures of the game will allow for that anymore. I think you're talking 15 years max where people move on, but he's definitely young enough. It's hard for me to see a guy that's that ingrained in football to give it up and not come back after that. And like Urban Meyer, he wanted to give it up a couple times, but it's like, man, that's my life. That's who I am. I got to get back into this. I miss it. I miss the players. I miss the coaches. I miss that dopamine hit from a win.
Well, he had health factors at play too. So
sure.
That was it. And then he took that perilous jump to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not detrimental to Coach Meyer. Again, Nick Saban couldn't do it. A lot of other coaches couldn't do it.
I honestly think Urban Meyer didn't even get a fair shake. He didn't make it through a season. You got to make it through a season and see what you built. Because, I mean, he drafted the right guys.
You and I could have drafted Trevor Lawrence. That doesn't
That
doesn't make you.
He made it happen. That counts.
Yeah, I would say it was very clear if you go back and read what happened in Jacksonville. He's a college coach.
Yeah,
he was trying to be a college coach in the NFL, and that's to the point all along.
Mm-hmm.
Fundamentally different coaching jobs.
But do you grow from that, and do you learn? Can you learn from that?
Maybe if you want to. I mean, yeah. I think if Coach Meyer threw his hat in the ring right now, he'd probably have 90 college programs call him up.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe more. So he could. Maybe he's happy where he is. He's probably getting paid very well by Fox, and maybe that's what he wants to do now. But that's where you look at somebody like Coach Day, And to your point, he's young enough. And if you build up to, let's call it that CEO status at Ohio State, where a lot of the recruiting is done from coordinators and assistants and things of that nature. You have a close relationship with the athletic director, which we do not cycle through all that often at Ohio State, which is a good thing. So you build these connections and you kind of just build a well-oiled machine where everyone knows their job and is focused on it. And Coach Day isn't pulled in 17 directions like maybe he would be a lot of other programs. And you're adapting to this new system. That's what you really want to ask when Coach Saban retired. Coach Saban retired because the system was fundamentally changing. And he saw that and said, well, I can't stack 4 stars at every position 3 deep anymore. That no longer is going to be the case in the transfer portal. Every year is basically like an NFL team in a lot of ways. Where I have to go out and get free agents and plug holes and plug gaps, and then I have to appease 90-plus players consistently. And if anybody's not getting playing time, I'm probably going to lose them. That's not the system he grew up in, and that's probably why he retired. Coach Day has now perfected that system.
Correct.
That's the difference.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I guess it's up on Day. I don't have a good feel for how long he wants to coach.
Let's hope it's a long time.
Let's hope it's forever. Let's hope he retires a Buckeye. But until then, Ohio State has an off week to prepare for Penn State, which would have set up perfectly in normal circumstances if James Franklin was still there and Penn State somehow wasn't 0-4 in the Big Ten. This was the year that we needed a bye before Penn State, and we got it, and they have crapped the bed. So we'll see what happens. Put this team away earlier. Like you said earlier, this team still has talent.
A lot of talent.
You got to put them away because you never know when that animal's backed into the cage when it's going to bite. So we got to come out swinging, and I mean swinging, against Penn State in 2 weeks in Columbus, Ohio. Until then, actually, I'll let you go because I know you got to get off here. You got things to do, buying and selling houses and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll get off here. Go enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'm going to talk a little bit about college football backers because, we gotta get it on here. So until then, adios. But I got to get a little ad read in here for myself. College Football Backers is a site that I started myself, and we have been having some good success. So I got to give myself a little pat on the back and everyone working at College Football Backers. I'm going to share my screen and show you a little bit about what it looks like. All right. College Football Backers is a place you want to go if you want to read about anyone. All right. We have featured posts. If you want to read about LSU, we got it. If you want to read about Navy, we got it. If you want to read about Ohio State recruits, we got it. If you want to read about Buckeyes in the NFL, we got it. If you want to read about Oregon going to Rutgers, we got it. And then some of these other articles are going to be coming throughout. If you're interested in college football at all, come on. If you like podcasts, we got our podcast links in here. So Buckeye backers, we got Wolverine backers. If you want to learn a little bit about the Wolverines, we got Mike Germanese from Wolverine Backers that is credentialed for a few Wolverine games. So he gives you some inside information there on Wolverine Backers. And Bayou Bengal Backers for LSU has been huge and growing very quickly. So go check them out. Just wanted to give you a little shout out from what we got at College Football Backers. It is cfbackers.com. So go check it out. Boom. Got some good stuff. We're also going to have a credentialed writer at the Army-Navy game and at the Pittsburgh Notre Dame game. So it's only been around for 4 months and doing well. So go check it out. Appreciate you. Before we get off here, Doug Shepard from the locker room. Saban is such a money-grubbing West Virginian that he got out when paying players was openly going to be more expensive. Changed my mind. I like that. Well, you know what? He was also 70 years old, so you got to give him credit for that. And he's doing good on ESPN, so he's living the life. I'm not going to say anything bad about Saban because obviously he did what he did, and he's the GOAT for a reason. But you're probably right. When things change, sometimes old men get out. That's just normal. That's life. That's the circle of life. But until next week, God bless. Actually, we probably won't have a morning after unless there's really something good going on in the college football world. So we'll see you Wednesday. And after Ryan Day's press conferences this week, me and Alex Bryan will be on here. So until then, God bless. Take care. Have a good rest of your weekend. Thank you all for joining us at Buckeye Backers. Peace.